Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today's video is going to be a bit of a different one for me. One of the things I never really got around to completing here in the game is the Layton Lakes story missions. I've done some of them a few years back, if I remember correctly. I stopped on the mission where you have to take some coyotes with the 270. But for the most part, yeah, I really don't remember a single thing about these missions. I got to thinking the other day though, it would be a lot of fun to play through them. If I'm going to do that, I might as well record it. So I did make a new Xbox account, that way we could start the missions from the very beginning. Now this video is not going to have any commentary except for the intro here. I'd actually planned on doing commentary throughout the entire video, and even recorded some. I think it went like 20 or 30 minutes, but the warden, he would just pop up at random times and start talking. Like I never knew when he was going to just stop talking or start back up talking. It was just all over the place. So I really didn't like the way it was going originally, so I went ahead with the no commentary approach. Anyway, that is enough talking, so I really do hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, it is something different, it's not what I'm used to making, but I had a lot of fun with it, so if you do enjoy the video, leave a like, subscribe, do all that stuff, it really does help out the channel, and let's go ahead and jump right in to the Layton Lakes story missions.
You made it here in one piece. Welcome to the untamed wild. Name's Colton Locke, but everyone calls me Doc. I'm the warden up here, and I know just about every nook and cranny of this place. I heard this is your first time in the Pacific Northwest and Lake District. Well, this here's the best hunting reserve you'll find in 100 miles. I've been hunting here my whole life, and I still don't get tired of this place. Go ahead, look around. There's a lot to discover around here. Not just the big game. Let's see what you can do. Try to find an animal track around here. If you want to get your bearings, there are lookout points spread out all over the reserve. Would you look at that view? Never gets old, I'm telling you. From up here, you can see a lot of great hunting spots in the area. Balmont's not only where Hope set up camp, it's also famous for the railroad bridges along the old North Pacific line. Keep an eye out for them if you can in between blacktail hunting. Or, why not use them as vantage points? I once bagged a whitetail from the Runaki Bridge. Be sure to stop by one of the outposts. You can find pretty much anything you need there. Nice place, right? You won't find a soft bed in many parts around here. Don't forget to stock up before heading out. Hey there, you know that guy I mentioned earlier, Hope? Well, looks like he's been having a bit of a problem lately. He's been camping out over at Balmont a couple weeks, but coming back last night, he found his camp turned on its head. Some food was taken, and apparently the place looked like it had been really messed with. I don't know if it was an animal or some tourist troublemakers, but I'm up in Topeka all day and can't look into it. Listen, I know you probably have other plans, but you're in the right neck of the woods, and I'd sure be grateful if you could just stop on by and have a look. Hope showed up here 2 years ago. Said something about getting off the grid. I heard he lost his family in an accident while he was deployed overseas in the Army. hit the poor guy hard. I guess out here you only need to look out for yourself. It's easier that way. Not the most cheerful fella, to be honest, but he's earned his peace for sure. Let's find out whoever did this. You're getting close. Hope mentioned seeing some tracks in the mud. See if you can find them. You found them? Great. Snap some pictures for the record and see if they lead anywhere. Yeah, definitely human. Looks like a troublemaker then. Now, I don't want you to go picking any fights, but maybe you could follow them and see where they lead. Some ripped clothing. And no more tracks, huh? Well, just leave it for now, and I'll see what I can come up with. This'll help, though. Thanks. I'm still looking into that incident at Hope's camp. I spoke with him, and he wanted me to pass on his thanks. He's been having some problems finding food lately, though. The black-tailed deer are surprisingly scarce in Balmont for this time of year. Now Hope seems to think some black bears are passing through and scaring off the blacktails. Could be true, but it's hard to know for sure. If you come by any bear tracks in Balmont, let me know. Tails are Hope's bread and butter. If you ever want hunting tips on him, he's your man. He's been with the blacktails for a while now. If they're on the move, it's not only a problem for Hope. It might mean worrying changes for other parts of the reserve. Well, look at that. Let's see if there are any additional signs of the black bears to support Hope's theory. Guess that settles it. No wonder the blacktail's on the run. Gotta give Hope some credit. His suspicions were right on target. Thanks for keeping a lookout. Hey there, I think it's time I told you about Jonathan Trampfind. He heard of your dealings with black bears in Balmont, so he wanted to know if you might help him out as well. Trampfind loves black bears. He's been living out here on the reserve for many years, getting as close as he can to the bears and documenting them. A little too close for comfort, if you ask me. Last couple of days, he's been trying to get a picture of a group of black bears that just arrived this season. He's had no luck, though, and he wondered if you would take a swing at it. He'd pay you, so it might be worth your trouble. I don't even know where to begin with Jonathan. He probably feels like he's becoming one with nature out here, and I can understand that, of course. But he's walking a fine line, and I worry one day he might find himself on the wrong side. You've probably come across a coyote by now. We have a sizable population in the reserve, but the Wildlife Varmint Control are constantly trying to keep it in check. Fiona Voilez is their operator in the area, and she's your go-to when it comes to the coyotes in this region. They could use some help with the population control, and there's good money in it too. She wanted me to let you know that Chila Pass has seen an increase in coyote sightings lately, and that they're offering a reward to anyone harvesting coyotes. I think you'll need a coyote collar for this one. Oh, you found him. How about that? Now, Trampfind wouldn't agree with me, but black bears are fickle animals, so you best keep your distance. That's it. That's what he wanted, so I'll pass it on to Trampfind. So, Trampfind loved the picture. Great job. He's been building up some kind of collection of black bear droppings. Now, what in the Sam Hill that's all about, I don't know, but he's wondering if you could help him out. It seems some of the next samples he's after are from a group of bears down in Lake District, and Trampfind won't set foot there. That's where Hope is camped out, as you know, and those two can't stand each other. Well, I hope this sloth of bears doesn't stay in Balmont too long. Hope's not gonna hesitate to hunt him down, and Trampfind doesn't want anyone shooting his friends. Oh, and I haven't told him you're a hunter, by the way, so I'd just avoid mentioning that if I were you. There you go, some prime bear poo. Just a couple more samples should do it. Great, I think that's enough. I'll let Trampfind know. That should do it. The coyotes will likely stay away for a bit. Fiona will be glad to hear. Hey, so I just checked in with Hope about the bear incident, and it seems whoever went through his stuff before came back for round two. This time, a lot of his food supply was either stolen or left out to spoil. Doesn't sound like your standard hungry hiker, does it? I'll dig more into this, but in the meantime, Hope's gonna need some help restocking his supply. Could you help him out and bag a couple of blacktails? I'm sure he'll make it worth your while. Great. This'll help a lot with Hope's winter stock. Well, that should do it. Hope should have enough to make it through the season as long as we have no more incidents. Thanks a lot. Fiona was quite impressed with how you handled things, and was wondering if you'd be up for more coyote hunting. The Wildlife Varmint Control are running a reserve-wide effort to lower the coyote population. One of the perks of working with government agencies is their access to the best equipment available. Fiona loves using the 270 Huntsman rifle for varmint control. Fiona will want one coyote harvested in each region. That coyote collar will come in handy again. That should round out their numbers a bit. Great job. If you ever spot a watchtower in the distance with the lights on, that's probably our local fire lookout, Emily Connors, doing one of her final rounds for the season. Emily's been coming out to the reserve for many years, working as a fire lookout and doing some writing on the side. Actually, she's on her third book now. When I talked to her this morning, she told me she lost her notebook on one of her hikes. Unfortunately, she won't be able to retrace her steps for a couple of days, so I figured I might ask you for help while her tracks are fresh. That notebook means everything to her, so there'd be a nice finder's fee. She probably lost it while oogling a Roosevelt elk. She can't get enough of them. Even helped out with some research during her time here. Of course, she might have been staring at something or someone else. So, I suppose we need to do something about the black bears in Balmont. If they've been moving east from Layton Lakes, then Hope may not be the only person they could come across. Have you hunted a black bear before? These migrating ones are likely younger and smaller than an adult, but that doesn't mean it'll be easy by any stretch. I think it'll go far to just harvest a single one. The hunting pressure should motivate the rest to turn back towards Layton. You'll notice that bears are really difficult to track. They'll rarely let out a call, and their senses of smell and hearing are so good that they'll probably notice you before you even catch sight of them. You got it. Great. That's a mighty feat. Not everyone has got what it takes to bag a black bear. Hope can rest a little easier from now on. Thanks again. So, have you gotten a challenge from Paul yet? Paul Beatty. He's the local guide and an expert hiker. Great guy. He grew up not far from here. His father is still an active hunter in the reserve. A bit of a local legend, really. I saw Paul's dad the other day, crouching in a stand as usual. He's the patient kind of hunter, that one. A thermos of coffee and a book, and he'll sit out there for hours, waiting for that big one. Moose, mostly. I mentioned your hunting interest to Paul, and he suggested you try out a stand-up in Willowpeg that's brought him some big moose in the past. I guess that's your first BD challenge, then. Oh, and if you haven't taken on moose before, make sure to stock up on a high-caliber weapon. Those animals are massive, I'm telling you. Best way to find the notebook is to backtrack along her footsteps. You're getting pretty good at tracking, so you shouldn't have a problem. There they are, her tracks. Follow them back and see if you find anything. You found it. Emily will be glad to hear her riding is safe and sound. Why don't you leave it at the tower and she'll pick it up on her next watch. Thanks a lot. That notebook means the world to her. Norden used to be the site of a successful mining operation, kicking off back during the Norden Peak Copper Rush of 1899. They used the railroad to ship out over 1 billion pounds of copper from Norden. The copper was mainly used for power lines, since a little thing called electricity was becoming all the rage in the early 1900s. So, has Trampfind mentioned Mr. Black yet? Yeah, that's what he calls his favorite black bear. Well, apparently Mr. Black wants his picture taken, or so Trampfind tells me. He says that Mr. Black's been hanging out around Balmont Lake recently, so that'd be the first place to start looking. Yeah, don't ask me. I can't really figure Jonathan out, but I know he'll pay for it, and it'll make him happy. So if you're up for it, go ahead. Now, once you find Mr. Black, be careful. Trampfind foolishly approaches these animals as if they were kittens. But let me assure you, they're anything but. This here is Balmont Lake. Quite the place, isn't it? I guess I can see why Mr. Black picked this place for a photo op, huh? There he is. Yeah, just as Trampfind described him. Big one. Be careful now. Better not hurt it, or Trampfind would be very upset. Good. You got the picture. I suggest you clear out before he notices you. That's a nice harvest. Well done. I'll let Paul know you were able to knock out his first challenge. I heard back from Emily just now. She was very grateful that you found her notebook. Since you've proven to be reliable, she wanted me to ask you for another favor if you're up for it. She's got this idea to take some pictures of the local area and put them up in the towers for the visitors to see. I mentioned the ones of the bears you took for Trampfind, and she was impressed since he's so picky. She's looking for photos of 3 different landmarks, and she'll pay well for it. This time you won't have to put your neck on the line with a 600-pound black bear. This here is Willowpeg. I know Emily wanted a picture of the caves in this region. High Lake and the neighboring Balmont region contain the lowlands of the Lake District. Stuck between Mount Kraken and Northern Ridge, the Hyton River Delta formed from cascading rainwater and snow melt down the mountainsides. Oh, and don't forget to spot the unique rock formations in this area. You won't find anything else like it in the Pacific Northwest. Great, you got 'em all. We've got a printer back at the lodge, and I promised to print them out for Emily so I can take it from here. Thanks for all your help. Hey, I just heard from Paul, and it seems we might have a missing hiker. Got lost this morning and didn't end up at a meeting point as planned. Search and rescue's tied up elsewhere, so Paul went out looking for him. We'd sure appreciate some extra help, though. So, the missing fella's name is James Worthington, 36. Headed out into Heighton Peaks this morning. If you can pick up on his trail, then we'll get a better idea of where he might have ended up. We think he might have started his hike from the Chopeka outpost. He was supposed to meet a friend by the tower in Willowpeg, so start your search in Chopeka. Paul is really reliable in situations like this. He knows the terrain better than anyone, and he runs out looking when he hears of trouble. This is the area. See if you can pick up on his trail. Just got off with Paul Beatty, and he hasn't seen him anywhere near Heighton Peaks, so he likely hasn't gone north. Tried to reach Hope, too, but he's out hunting or something. Looks like he went off the trail here. Maybe he tried to take a shortcut? In that case, he'd end up north of where Paul and the others are looking. I'll let him know he shifted direction. Paul just radioed in that they found the hiker. He was lost further north, as you suspected. Thanks a lot. We would have still been searching if not for you. Paul also wanted me to send his thanks to you. I asked him about any new challenges he had, but he said he was busy and had to meet someone. Someone, huh? $10 says he's hanging out in Emily's tower as we speak. Well, at least his dad wasn't too busy to come up with a new challenge. There's a ground blind down by Heighton River. It's a great place for moose hunting. Paul and his dad have got a friendly competition going. See if you can beat their record. Moose are nearsighted, so they don't scare easily. The real issue is finding them in the first place. Great job. Yeah, that's a big one, all right. I can't wait to see Paul's reaction when he hears about this. Damn it, I knew it would come to this. Listen, Trampfind is gone, no sign of him anywhere. That means no bad signs either, but I've got a bad feeling about this. The last one to see him was a hiker, not too far from Mount Kraken. Trampfind used to tell me he thought there was a secret government facility or some such up by that mountain. Now, that's just a bunch of hokum, of course, but I can tell you what ain't. Mount Kraken is bear country, and Jonathan's been getting too darn close to those bears. Could you head on out there and see if you can find out what's going on? I'll do what I can on my end. That's got to be his track. Better find out where it leads. Seems to be heading down from the mountain. What's that? Looks like Trampfind's bag. And the tracks just end there? No blood or anything? Strange. All right, I don't think there's much else you can do at the moment. I'll just have to get search and rescue out here. It seems as if Emily isn't quite done dressing up our fire watchtowers yet. She's been out looking for Roosevelt elk with Beatty recently, and I guess at some point she got the idea to hang an elk trophy up in one of the Cowburn towers. She asked if you could help out by bagging one. Roosevelt elk can be real tricky to find, but she mentioned seeing some pass by a hunting stand in Cowburn several times in the past. That's as good a place as any to start. case you haven't noticed, Emily is fascinated by the Roosevelt. I guess the only thing out here she fancies more is Paul. The two have grown quite close over the seasons. Great, you got it. Emily will be thrilled. So I was chatting with Miss Wallace, and she's got a new request for you. She said she knows that coyotes are always drinking up around Leviathan Lake most nights. Why don't you go there and find out? That just about does it. Fiona will be very pleased with your work. Well, I'll be damned. We found Trampfind, alive and kicking. Turns out it wasn't any government conspiracy, alien abduction, or even a bear attack. He was just getting some alone time. I found him in Balmont on the ground wrestling with Hope. It seems he found out that Hope had hunted one of his favorite bears, Rudy. I can't even keep track of Trampfind's bears anymore. Hell, I know I'll never make those two become friends, but it would help Jonathan cool off if you could locate Mr. Black. He's gone missing. Don't ask me, though. I don't have the first clue as to where Mr. Black could be. Fiona hasn't seen anything, so he probably hasn't headed east, and Trampfind himself hasn't seen him out west. I suppose he might have wandered north from Balmont. If you manage to find him, take a photo so that Trampfind can be sure you found the right bear. Hope told me he spotted a bear while hunting that had strayed a little too close for comfort to outposts and campsites. He said it was behaving strangely, walking in circles and tearing down blinds. It's probably an old and starving male, possibly sick, too. They get unpredictable and dangerous like that, so we try to put them down as soon as we hear of them. Seeing as you handled black bears well in the past, would you mind helping out? There's a sizable payout in it for you. Well, if it isn't our old friend, Mr. Black. So that's the bear Hope said was causing trouble. But Trampfind wants another photo of it. Now this here is what the French like to call an impasse. That's a nice picture. I'll send it to Trampfind. I guess you'll have to figure out what you want to do now. Hey, I have to ask a favor. I usually don't do this, but I don't have anyone else to turn to right now. There's some sort of smoke pillar going on up by the High Lake outpost. Emily called it in, but she sprained her ankle during the rush to head out, so she can't take care of it. Could you just go out there and have a first look before I call in the cavalry? Even a small fire can be devastating to the reserve if the wind catches hold of it, so I'd really appreciate the help. Hey, I just got a message from Hope. It seems now that you got the bears off his back, the coyotes have moved in instead. Apparently, they're thinning out the whitetails in Balmont. Hope went to Fiona about it, but she actually recommended you instead. One more thing. Use a bow to down the coyotes. That way you won't scare off any whitetails nearby. Paul and his dad were quite impressed with that Highton River moose you harvested. They've now invited you to try out the circle route. It's something they do every year. They hike around the reserve and try to bag the big five. The one with the highest total score gets a little something extra as a reward. You feel up for it? It's going to take you a while, but there's more than just bragging rights at the finish line. Here in Lake District, you'll find the easiest harvest of the circle route, the blacktail. Remember that you can travel to the outposts in each region to rest and stock up. Might help you out on the circle route. Trampfind will be happy to know that Mr. Black is alive. I'll have to keep my eye on that bear, though, see that he doesn't pose a threat to others. Maybe he just missed Trampfind. Hey, I can't believe I just said that. Seems like whatever Trampfind's on is contagious. You're back in High Lake now. See if you can find out where that smoke is coming from. Well, look at that. Someone forgot to put out their campfire. Emily sends her thanks for taking care of the fire. Her ankle's gonna heal just fine, but she's on bed rest currently and isn't coming back to the reserve this season. She left me her notebook as a thank you and wanted me to pass along an interesting observation she made. I think it's meant to be a challenge for you. Apparently, she saw this Roosevelt bull, a real beaut up by the Layton Canyon watchtower. The thing is, she could only ever see it from the tower. Whenever she tried going down the canyon for a closer look, it'd disappear. So, how's your long-range shooting? Oh yeah, and here's the tricky part. She only ever spotted it at night. Riders, you know, they're all night owls. But so is this particular elk, it seems. What a harvest. Gotta be one in a million. You should send Emily a picture. So I heard back from Emily. She and Paul are heading out on a vacation together. They're now officially a couple. Thank God. I thought they'd never get off their butts and lock it in. You got 'em all, the big five. And by the looks of it, you beat both the BD scores. Congratulations. The State Office for Travel and Tourism asked me for some assistance. I usually pass this stuff on to Paul, but he's been spending a lot of time with Emily, and I don't want to intrude on that. Those kids need to come out with it already. Everyone knows. But anyway, we need to take some pictures for a travel guide on the hiking trails. Mind helping out? The pay's good. The request is for 3 great vista shots. I know just the towers that'll have the views we need. Norton has got a great lookout tower for the travel guide photos. Your hunter mate knows the way. Ah, the reserve never looked better. So you're in Chopeka. You should have gotten coordinates for a lookout tower that'll give you a great view for the travel guide. Chopeka was an important area to the indigenous population before the frontier expansion and smallpox epidemic. The descendants have a reservation elsewhere today, but the reserve has worked with them to raise some totem monuments to honor these grounds. That's a great shot for the guide. There's a lookout tower here in Runatchi that has just the view we need for the travel guide. Now, Runatchi has some of the best views in the entire reserve. Just head up to the lookout point in Runatchi Highs. Fasten your seatbelt, because that one's a doozy. Further on south of it, you can follow the old tracks of the Northern Pacific Railroad as it came in from the Eastern Range Tunnel. Yeah, that's a real beaut. Well, that's all of them. Thanks a lot. That travel guide's gonna be a real page-turner with these photos. Great shooting. This should keep Hope satisfied. For a while, at least. I just ran into Trampfind. Apparently, he saw a huge coyote in Chila. Almost thought it was a wolf at first. Funny how the man wants to hug a bear 4 times his size, but a dog makes him jump? He never makes much sense. Anyway, Fiona confirmed it. Guess there really is a big coyote on the loose around Chila. Varmint Control would very much like it gone. Now, you'd best keep your distance with this one. No telling what it might do. Use a rifle and take it out from afar. did it. You managed to bring it down. I'll let Fiona know. I bet she wishes she could bring you on full time for the varmint control. You've certainly delivered like the best of them.